It is the middle of August, and it is too hot to keep the door shut. So the back door stands open to catch what little breeze there is, and they come in. First one or two, buzzing at the window. Then by afternoon there are a dozen landing on the counter, walking across the bread you left out, circling the fruit bowl, bumping the ceiling light. You take up the swatter and you get 3 or 4 of them, and you feel like you have done something. And an hour later, there are a dozen again. By supper time, you are eating with one hand and waving the other over your plate like every family in this country in August. And one of them lands on the butter, and your wife says, "Get that fly." And you swing and you miss, and there is a fly on the butter at your own table in the house you keep clean. Now I want you to sit with this a moment, friend, because here is the thing that changes the whole fight, and it will sound backward. Every fly you swat is a wasted swing, because the flies you can see are not the problem. They are the last part of the problem. They are the grown children of a thing that is breeding somewhere in or near your house, quietly, out of sight. And for every fly bumping your ceiling, there are 100 more coming behind it as eggs and maggots you have never laid eyes on. You could swat flies from now till frost and never win, because you are fighting the smoke and leaving the fire. My grandmother kept a farm kitchen with the doors open all summer and a screen that had seen better days, and there were never flies on her table. Not because she was quick with a swatter. She never touched a swatter. She kept a little trap going on the windowsill, a jar with something in it, and she knew the one thing that mattered more than any trap, which was where the flies were being born, and she never let that thing sit in her house. It cost her about $1 and a walk around the kitchen, and it worked better than a whole summer of swinging. Not one part of what I am about to show you is difficult. The trap costs about $1 from things already in your house. Any man or woman watching this can learn the whole of it in 10 minutes and clear a kitchen of flies in a day or two. I am Pastor Eli. I have kept a country parish and a country kitchen for the better part of 40 years, and I learned this at my grandmother's windowsill, watching a jar do quietly what a swatter never could. Today I'm going to give you the whole of it. 7 things: the trap, the reversal, the source hunt, the honest truth about the famous fly tricks, the doorways, the drain flies, and the one almost nobody knows. The trap comes first, because it is the dollar thing the title promised you, and I am not going to make you wait 20 minutes for it. And the 7th, the last one, is the true reason I made this video, because it is the answer to the question that has beaten you every August. Where are they all coming from? One word before I go on. The old ways I keep. There is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at PastorEliWhitfield.com. It is called Waste Nothing, and it is a manual and not a sermon, with a real price on every material and an honest word on every limit. I will not mention it again. If you want it, you know where it is. Now let me show you how my grandmother did it. The first thing, and the most important of the 7, is the trap. And you can build it in 2 minutes from what is in your kitchen right now. You take a jar or a glass or an old tin can, you put an inch or 2 of bait in the bottom. And here the bait depends on which fly is troubling you, and I will come to telling them apart. But for now, for the little fruit flies that hover over the fruit bowl, you use apple cider vinegar, for they cannot resist it. For the bigger house flies, you use something sweeter or a little meaty. A spoon of sugar water going soft, a bit of overripe fruit, a splash of old juice. Then, and here is the secret of the whole thing, you add 1 single drop of dish soap, and you give it the gentlest stir. Now hear me on that drop of soap, because it is the whole ball game, and the traps that fail right here. Water has a skin on it. You have seen a bug stand right on top of a puddle without sinking, held up by that invisible skin, what the learned folks call surface tension. A fly that lands on your bait can stand on that skin, drink, and fly off none the worse. But one drop of dish soap breaks that skin. It destroys the surface tension so the liquid can no longer hold anything up. So the fly comes down to the sweet vinegar, lands, and instead of standing on top, she goes straight through and cannot get out. That one drop of soap is the difference between a trap that drowns them and a dish that feeds them. Leave the soap out and you have set the flies a drinking fountain. Put it in and you have set a trap. And there is one more piece that makes it deadly. You take a sheet of paper, roll it into a cone, a funnel, and set it in the mouth of the jar with the little hole pointing down, not quite touching the bait. Now the flies smell the bait, crawl down through the funnel to get to it, and once they are in, they cannot find that little hole again to get out. They fly up to the shoulders of the jar and they are trapped. A jar, a splash of bait, a drop of soap, a paper funnel. That is the whole machine, and it costs you nothing. And by tomorrow, the bottom of that jar will tell you how many flies were in your kitchen. Set 2 or 3 of them where the flies gather, by the fruit bowl, on the windowsill near the trash, and leave them to their quiet work. The second thing is the reversal I promised you at the start, and it is the piece of understanding that saves you a whole summer of wasted swinging. The flies you see are the end of the story, not the beginning. A housefly lives only a couple of weeks as a fly, but before she was a fly, she was a maggot, and before that an egg. And one female fly lays hundreds of eggs in her short life, tucked into something soft and rotting where the young can feed. So, by the time you see flies bumping your window, there is already a whole next generation coming along behind them out of sight in whatever they are breeding in. Which means every minute you spend swatting the grown flies is a minute not spent on the only thing that ends it, which is finding and destroying what they are breeding in. Swat all you like for the momentary peace of it, but know that the swatter never wins the war. The war is won at the source. The third thing then is the source hunt, and this is where you actually win, so walk the kitchen with me. Somewhere in or very near your house there is something soft and moist and rotting, and it is the nursery. Your job is to find it and end it, so go looking. The kitchen trash can first and always, especially the bit of meat wrapper or the fruit peel at the bottom and under the bag where the juice collects that you never see. Take the bag out and wash the can itself, for the film down inside it breeds them even when the bag is gone. The fruit bowl, where one peach gone too far feeds a cloud of fruit flies. The onion or the potato gone soft and forgotten at the back of the bin, which is the single most common hidden nursery in an American kitchen, and I have found it in more houses than I can count. The recycling, the sticky bottles and cans that never got rinsed, the drain, and I will give the drain its own moment shortly, the pet's food bowl and the pet's mess out back, the little bit of spilled something under the stove or behind the trash can. Find the one rotten thing, throw it out, wash the spot, and you have cut off 100 flies at the root. The trap catches the grown ones. The source hunt stops the next 100 from ever being born. Before I go on to the myths and the last 3 things, let me pause for a moment. If these old ways are worth something to you, subscribe and walk along with me. I put out one of these every week and it costs you nothing. Now the 4th thing, and this one I have been looking forward to because you have heard 100 fly tricks in your life and nobody ever told you honestly which ones work. So here's the plain truth, one by one. The clear bag of water hung over the door. You have seen it on porches your whole life. A plastic bag full of water, sometimes with a penny in it, hung in the doorway to keep flies out. Here is the honest verdict, friend, and I will not flatter a myth. There is a thread of a real idea in it that the way light scatters through the water may confuse a fly's strange many-lensed eye for a moment. But in a real kitchen, in real use, it does very little, and the studies that have looked at it plainly found it did not work. The penny does nothing at all. So if you enjoy the old bag of water for the tradition of it, hang it and welcome, but do not trust your kitchen to it. It is a charm, not a trap. The herbs and the cloves. Basil on the windowsill, a lemon stuck full of cloves, bunches of mint and lavender. Here the truth is kinder, but still small. Flies do dislike some of these strong smells, and a pot of basil in the window or a clove-stuck lemon on the table may gently discourage a few flies from settling right there. But it will not clear a room, and it will not touch what is breeding in your trash. Think of it as a mild good manner, pleasant and slightly helpful, not a cure. Plant the basil for your tomatoes on your table and enjoy that it bothers a fly or two besides. And now the humble thing that actually beats them, and almost nobody thinks of it. A fan. A plain electric fan. A fly is a small, light flyer, and she simply cannot manage in a moving current of air. Set a fan blowing across the doorway or across the table where you eat, and the flies are pushed right out of that space and cannot land. The old screen porches often had a fan going all summer for exactly this reason, though folks thought it was only for the people. On a still hot day, a fan across the open door does more to keep flies off your supper than every bag of water ever hung. It is not a trap and it does not kill them, but for keeping a space clear right now in the moment, it is the quiet champion of the whole list. The fifth thing is the doorways and the screen, and it is the plainest of all, but folks skip it. A fly on your counter came in from outside through an open door, a torn screen, a gap. So you keep the door shut when you can in fly season, hard as that is in the heat. Or you put a screen door on and keep it latched. You walk your window screens and your door screens and you find the little tiers and the corners pulled loose. For a hole the size of your fingertip is a wide gate to a fly, and you patch them, a bit of screen patch or even tape for the small ones. You check the sweep under the door for daylight. Every fly you keep out is a fly you do not have to trap, and a good screen is the cheapest fly control there is. Once and done for the season. The sixth thing is the one that drives people to distraction. The flies that keep coming when the kitchen is spotless and the trash is empty and you cannot for the life of you find the source. Those very often are drain flies, and they are their own small mystery. Drain flies are tiny, fuzzy, moth-shaped little things, and they do not breed in your trash or your fruit. They breed in the thin film of gunk that builds up inside a drain, the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, the shower, a floor drain in the basement, a drain that seldom gets used. Down in that pipe, just below where you can see, there is a slick coating of organic film, and that is their whole world. And they hatch up out of the drain a few at a time, and you never understand where they came from. Here is the test. Tape a piece of clear plastic or a sticky note loosely over the drain overnight, sticky side down. And in the morning, if you have caught little moth flies on it, you have found your breeder. And the fix is not poison. You clean the pipe. You scrub down inside the drain with an old bottle brush to break up that film. And you flush it with boiling water, or you pour in baking soda followed by vinegar, and let it foam and sit, and then flush it with hot water. Break up the film they breed in, and the drain flies have nowhere left to hatch. No trap on your counter would ever have caught them because the problem was down the pipe the whole time. And now the seventh, the one almost nobody knows, and it is the answer to the question that has beaten you every August. Where are they all coming from? Because here is the truth. If your kitchen is clean and your drains are clear and they are still pouring in, the nursery is not in your house at all. It is just outside your door, and the flies are being born out there and walking or flying straight in. So take the hunt outside, the outdoor trash can, and above all its lid where the underside is coated with old filth and rain, which is the single greatest fly nursery on most properties in America, breeding thousands right beside your back door. The compost pile too close to the house, or a compost with too much kitchen scrap and not enough leaves gone to slime. The dog run and the dog's mess left in the yard, which is a fly nursery as sure as any rotting fruit. A dead something under the porch or in the wall. A bird or a mouse that you smell before you find, the spilled feed by the barn, the overripe windfall apples rotting under the tree, the bird bath gone foul. Walk the outside of your house on a warm afternoon and follow your nose, for the flies pouring into your kitchen are very often born within a few steps of your own door, in a can or a pile you walk past every day. Wash that outdoor can and its lid with a hose and a little bleach. Turn or cover the compost, clean up after the dog, and you cut off the flood at its true source, out where it was coming from all along. Now let me take a moment, because here is where it all comes together. Look at what we have walked through. The dollar jar trap with its one drop of soap that breaks the water's skin so the flies sink instead of drink, and its paper funnel they cannot find their way back out of. The reversal, that the flies you swat are the end of the problem and the eggs you never see are the beginning. The source hunt through the kitchen, the trash and the drain, and above all the forgotten potato gone soft in the bin. The honest truth about the famous tricks. The water bag that is a charm and not a trap. The herbs that are a manner and not a cure, and the plain fan that quietly beats them all. The doors and the torn screens, the cheapest fly control there is. The drain flies breeding in the film down the pipe where no counter trap could reach, and the true nursery just outside the back door, and the trash can lid, and the dog run, and the compost, the whole time. $1, a jar, and a walk to find what is breeding them. And the small honest word about how folks come to swing a swatter all summer and never think to find the source. There is no money in a paper funnel and a drop of dish soap. Nobody builds a business on a jar you already own. But there is money in the can of spray and the sticky ribbon and the plug-in trap and the exterminator's visit, and none of them has any reason to walk you to the potato in the bin or the filth under your trash can lid. So, the old jar went quiet, not because it stopped working, but because nobody profits from a thing you make for $1 and empty into the yard. So here is what I want you to do this week. Build a jar trap, cider vinegar for the little fruit flies or something sweet for the house flies, 1 drop of dish soap, a paper funnel, and set 2 or 3 where the flies gather. Then put the swatter down and go hunting for the nursery instead, the trash can, the drain, the fruit bowl, the forgotten potato, and out the back door to the trash can lid and the compost and the dog run. Find the one rotten thing and end it. Patch your screens and run a fan across the table at supper. Do that. And in a day or two, the jars will be full and the air will be clear, and you will eat your supper in August with both hands. The good book, when it lists the plagues that fell on old Egypt, counts the swarms of flies among them, a torment sent thick upon a hard-hearted land. There's an old truth folded into that the fly has always been to mankind a picture of corruption and decay, drawn to what is rotting, multiplying on what is dead and unclean. Which is why the answer to the fly was never really the swatter. It was cleanliness. It was the found and buried rot, the emptied can, the clean drain, the covered compost. Keep the corruption cleared away and the swarm has nothing to feed on and nowhere to be born, and it lifts. There is a quiet lesson in that a man can carry well past his kitchen. Deal with the small corruption before it breeds in the house and in the heart alike, and you spare yourself the swarm. Now tell me in the comments below, how bad are the flies where you are this August, and what have you tried that failed? And did your mother or your grandmother have a fly trick of her own? The old jar, the herbs in the window, a thing she swore by that nobody wrote down? Tell me what it was, and tell me your state. For the flies come worse in some parts of this country than others, and I like to map the old ways by where you all write from. I read every single one. Next time, since we have been speaking of the cheap and simple things that keep a house, I'm going to show you the dozen jobs that one $2 jug of plain white vinegar does around the home. The cleaning and the keeping and the tricks the old folks used it for that replace a whole shelf of costly bottles under your sink. It is the natural next step after today, and I hope you will walk it with me. Until then, look well to what you have been given. Waste nothing, and God bless.